So great. It was like, yes. I'm so grateful to be here. I'm so grateful for another week at Rythmia. Another amazing week. We get to do this every week. I get to see amazing miracles. And what's a miracle? A miracle, from one definition, is when a divine idea breaks through into time. What does that mean? It means that something's true about you. You're perfect, whole, and complete. Something's real about you. Never born, never died, never been hurt, harmed, or endangered. That's the divine idea, the truth of who we are. And when we have a deep realization of that in real time, that's a miracle. And that's what happens at Rhythmia. People see who they've become, merge with their soul, and heal their hearts. And each week, when I'm doing this, I know there's a couple different people that do this, but when I'm doing I Got My Miracle, actually every week we get to pick some folks that had an exceptional week. And I have to say, these two beautiful souls I really connected with this week. It was a pleasure to have you here and have you in class this week. So, Doris.
Yes, John.
I was like, Brenda, Doris, Gladys, I don't know. Oh, Doris.
Been there,
Doris. Will. William. You prefer
Will's good.
Will.
William's fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
Will was joking with me about a different name about calling his wife Gladys, and then I got confused. So Doris, thank you. So I'm with Doris and Will, who have had an amazing week at Rhythmia. So welcome.
Thank you, John.
Thank you. All right, so tell me, Will, where are you from? Or where are you both from?
I'm originally from Williamsburg in Brooklyn, New York, and I live in Bayonne, New Jersey now.
Okay, and you live there together. You're married.
Yes.
And how long have you been married?
5 years.
And there's a pretty exceptional story about how you met.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah? Tell me the story, how you guys met.
Well, we met at a New Year's party, and Will was actually my girlfriend, my best friend, dragged me to this party that I did not want to go to. But we got there, we were having a good time, and we meet Willie, and she likes him. And
your girlfriend?
Yeah, and she wants to date him. She says, yeah, perfect, because we were all in the military, so that was our connection. Otherwise, we wouldn't have talked to him.
This is true. And while at the party, Doris skipped over it quickly. I saw her and her friend Debbie dancing, and I was like, oh, I have to go dance with those two hot Latin girls. I was with the gay boys dancing with them, and I was having a wonderful time. And then I spotted these two ladies, and the rhythm and the energy just brought me across the room. And I started dancing with them. And when Doris found out I was in the military and I was a colonel, she grabbed my chest like this, and she was like, oh my God, what am I doing? And when she did that, I felt the connection.
I think that happened while we were dancing after a drink, because he was really jacked back then, and I kept.
He's still pretty jacked.
I was poking his chest because he reminded me of Superman. Like, is that real? Is it padded?
That had to be after a drink.
Oh yeah. Then I realized I was like, too much feely, touchy at that moment, and I pulled back. But not as soon as I found he was in the military. I was like, yeah, I gave him like a.
She jumped on me in a similar type of couch, folks. I want her to come clean. She jumped on me.
But I wasn't touching your chest.
Okay.
At that point.
Okay.
I
didn't have any drinks, for the record. Just.
Oh my God, this is why we've had such a great week.
Yes.
So.
Long story short, he went out on one date with my girlfriend, and that's a long story. It didn't quite work out, and she called me the next day. She said, you should really date him. And I was like, I don't know if I want to start dating at this point, especially a military guy. I kept my mind open. And Willie asked me to go dancing a couple of times, which was nice because he doesn't drink, so I felt very safe with him. And we were friends. He was such a gentleman, always polite, never try to make a pass or kiss me or anything. So I figured, he's a friend. It's great. I hang out with him anytime. And came to a point where Willie asked me to go on.
I had other ideas. I really liked her, and I was pursuing her, but I wanted to do it in a gentlemanly fashion and show her the utmost respect that she deserves as a woman and as a person.
Now.
And So at my job, I had to go to the Virgin Islands to St. Thomas for work, and I figured, oh, I could bring her to St. Thomas, and then maybe
He'll make a pass.
I'll make a pass. Yeah, okay. And I called Doris, and I explained to her the trip, and I explained to her that there were no strings attached. If she wasn't comfortable with me, that I would get her a different hotel room, or if she would totally thought this was a mistake, I would get her a plane ticket home. And I just gave her the gentlemanly discussion. So Doris says to me,
So he said a suite. I'm thinking 2 separate rooms, and if I feel uncomfortable, I could just go. But this was a trip to St. Thomas.
St. Thomas.
St. Thomas. So when he mentioned it, I'm listening and saying, okay, it's time to make up my mind whether I want to date this guy because he's taking it to the next step. And my mind first said, oh, he's such a nice guy. You should just go for the vacation. You know, he's not going to try anything. And if he does, hey, I'm a Bronx girl. I'm going to try that. But my heart said, you know, you drink, you get loosey-goosey. And so when he called me on the phone, I was at work, busy. He's like, listen, do you want to go do this? And he gave me the spiel.
Well,
and I said to him, go ahead. I said to him, listen, my mind says it would be great, but I don't know if my heart's going to be there. So
and
let
then
me
this
think
is the part of the
about
story
it.
I love. Then you said,
well, I said to her at that point, okay, take some time to think about it. And then I called her in a couple of days and I
At
said,
the office, I'm busy.
and I said, did your heart and mind have that conversation? And she said, yes. And I said, great, I'll make the arrangements. And I hung up. And I didn't want to hear anything else but.
Well, he just heard yes and hung up. Meanwhile, my intention was to not go.
that's right. Her heart and mind had the conversation, and the intention was, we ain't going.
I helped merge her heart and mind at that point.
No, it still wasn't merged. I just felt that I could hang out with him and keep it under control. You know, no.
And now you're married.
And now we're married.
That's awesome. And you came and you decided to come to Rythmia.
Yeah.
As a couple.
Yes.
So tell me, how'd you decide to come to Rythmia as a couple?
Well, we had a good friend, Lisa Carroll, who I want to thank very much for introducing us to this magnificent journey. She came here. Her husband bought her an all-expense-paid trip, a gift. And she told us what an amazing experience she had. You guys should go. So I trusted exactly what she said, word for word. I didn't go looking up what Rythmia was or is. I did no research. I just went on her recommendation because I knew I had to come to this place.
You had a second thought at one point because you were like psychedelics.
Right, so you're ex-military colonel. I didn't know that. You're ex-military, but colonel, that's no joke.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know? But decide. So yes, thank you. And yet you decided psychedelics
because we got a new perspective on the medicine, not as a drug, but a medicine. And that made a world of difference.
And I did have I'm sorry.
I'm so grateful it did.
And I had a friend who did ayahuasca about 20 years ago.
Oh, yeah,
and he's currently in a 12-step program as I am. And he explained to me that it's plant medicine and you'll be okay under the 12-step program rules, that it wouldn't be a relapse or something to that effect. So I was very confident after speaking with my friend about that, which kind of cinched it or made me, the decision was made then.
It's very interesting because there's kind of two sides to that in the world of recovery. Right. And some people feel it's not a violation of your agreement under the 12 steps, and some other people do. I'm more obviously on your side of your perception, of your perspective. Because, well, we don't have to go into that, but just to know, I think some important things, this is a live where a lot of people check this out before making a decision. And I think that's why I chose you guys this week, because your background and not only the wonderful week and then the wonderful week that you had. The other thing was that you've both done a lot of work before, a lot of spiritual work before.
Yes.
I dabbled in Buddhism and just being a better human. I had an addiction that I only stopped after meeting Willie.
Really?
And I didn't tell her you're doing this too much or that too much. I was by her side and walked with her as we, lived our lives and explained to her whatever the situation was not that you're doing something wrong, but it just wasn't a good look for you. I and what came to me was to present that in the most gentlest, non-judgmental manner.
And I was lucky enough to be able to quit without having a 12-step program. I knew I had to stop. The time wasn't right until I met Will.
Yeah. There's some emotion coming up when you talk
Yeah.
about that. Do you want to share a little bit about that?
It's so rough 30 years, 40 years.
Will you share what your addiction was?
Cocaine and alcohol. And I'm shameful.
No shame.
Not anymore. But so I was the tag along for Willie. I felt that this was more for him, of course, not for me, and that he would benefit the most. And I was just going to go for the experience. And I'm so glad I'm here.
Oh,
yeah.
Tell me what was the shift for you from I'm just a tag along to, oh my God, this is for me?
The potential in me, the acceptance that I now have of my life as it is, understanding better why my life is or was and how I am now because of my past. And just so much information I've gotten, especially from you. And wow, it's just, I feel already I'm advanced or I've grown.
Yes.
Grown. And I want more. I want more.
Ever expanding consciousness, right? This awareness. Thank you, Doris. Will, I was struck in our interactions in class by your willingness to really go deep and that you've done a lot of work already. A lot of people might feel like I've already done so much work, I don't need that. And it's not that there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong about you or about me or about anyone, right? There's nothing that needs to be fixed. And there's always some part of us that's a blind spot. So I'm really interested to hear, after all the work that you've done that got you here, before arriving, 30 something years of
39 years in recovery.
39 years of sobriety. It's freaking amazing. And that takes a lot of plumbing the depths of your being, right?
Yes.
And then you came here. So can you speak a little bit to that? Like, you've done a lot of work, and then what was the difference between the work that you had done before and what you did this week?
So I just would like to say that in the last year and a half to 2 years, I started experiencing a lot of physical pain, and I've been physically fit my whole life. Try to eat decently, to work out, protein, supplements, et cetera, et cetera. And I just started feeling really tired, and my body started hurting in many areas. And I didn't do any extreme exercises to cause any of that. It just started happening. So there was this question mark in my head, like, what's happening to me? And I started taking pain medicine as prescribed by the doctor. And it was giving me relief, but it was giving me more of an emotional relief than the pain relief. It did give me pain. So I was making note of all this, like, why is all this happening? And I've done all this work all these years. Why am I in so much pain? Like, what did I do? But again, I dismissed that it was my fault. And I was having trouble developing a daily practice, whether it was yoga, go to the gym regularly, just easy routine things I could not get together. I would just shoot straight for the cappuccino machine in the morning and have that coffee with the sugar and bypass two times, maybe three, and bypass that daily practice and ignoring it. And it caught up to me. And so when I read about ayahuasca a little bit and I heard about it, but again, I was still, is it for me? Isn't it for me? I don't know. But I know that inside I needed to take the next step. And if I may, that next step was revealed to me here by Johnny when I shared with him I was in a 12-step program, and he says, but how many people do you know? And this was non-judgmental, have connected with their higher power, like really, had the conscious contact with their higher power. And I said, I don't know anybody. I know I certainly didn't. And that doesn't mean that I had this euphoric connection with a God and a bright sun, but that higher power, that conscious contact, it's really within me, seeing the words I use now is, who have I become? I couldn't see that. I didn't know that, but I knew something right wasn't happening with me. And now, in earlier years, it was violence, drugs, alcohol, acting out, poor behavior, and it manifested in my body. So I knew something needed attention. Not that something was wrong, but something needed attention.
And in the medicine, what was a peak awareness that you had in the medicine? And what was a peak healing moment for you? Because is the pain gone now? Do you still have that pain in your body?
I still have pain in my chest. And I saw the shaman this morning, and she gave me blessings. And at the end, I agreed with her that I need to do the breath work. I need to have a practice. So this pain isn't here to cause me discomfort. It's a messenger to me that you need to do the work, or this is not gonna go away. This is just gonna stay.
And you had been to a doctor to check out all the pain.
Yes.
And there's nothing, they didn't put, oh, this is indicative of heart, or this is indicative of.
There's no structural damage to any parts of my body. It was the nerve endings.
Emotional.
And emotional imbalance, muscle imbalance.
Yeah. Beautiful. And let's just talk a little bit about your experience at the resort. Like, for people who might want to know, like, what was it like? The food, the rooms, the staff, what was your experience?
So impressed with the scenery, because I'm a city girl, so this is natural for me. I don't get exposed enough of it. Delicious, nutritious food. It's serene. It just gives you, as soon as you walk in, you feel a calmness, a peacefulness, and you can breathe almost, and feel relaxed.
Beautiful.
That you're supposed to be here. It's so special here.
So awesome. Thank you. What about, Will? Did you have any? Tell me about the community. Did you feel comfortable meeting people? Who were some of the people that you met that you really enjoyed this week, or what kind of connections that really were like peak experiences for you?
Well, one of the connections I made was on the last night of ceremony with my bunkmate, the gentleman to my left, and we just talked about who we are and where we're at, and you make that connection with special people, and it's not like I needed to meet all 60 people, but that 1, 2, 3, 4 people you meet, you really touched. That was Dominic. There was another gentleman, Kevin, who we both have an Irish heritage, who really just gave me great words of encouragement and told me I was a beautiful man. And so that person who I became here after ceremony, after breath work, after doing the work for the week, people started seeing me and acknowledging me for that beautiful person. And that's the person that I need to acknowledge on a regular basis. And the people here are all loving and caring because we're all here on a similar purpose. Reasons could be different, but that purpose is within us. And I just like to make a comment about Rythmia as a whole, that there isn't a moment, an event, every moment and event that happened here had purpose and meaning to it. There was nothing was boring or I was tired of it. Everything contributed to my growth during the week, whether it was the food, the breath work, the different classes, the free time, the mud bath, the trip to the beach, and obviously the ceremonies and the yoga. the yoga matched every event of the day. And so what I'm saying is everything is connected.
It's a great
And when
program.
you get here, you're connected to the to the land, the community, the food, the events. I could keep going on and on. I'm the long-winded one of the couple.
Well, I think what you're speaking to is, the program.
Yes.
The program is
Such
well
structured.
put together,
Yes.
and it's intentional. And we've done it. I think that's the beauty of this. It's like, if you do this, it's going to work. Like, here are these. We have classes highlighted. There's some classes that aren't, quote, mandatory. I was teaching the non-mandatory classes this week.
I'm so glad I attended.
I'm so glad you did too. And you can see that, as I always tell people, take advantage of everything. Take advantage of everything, which you guys did. You went in all in. However, all you really have to do is do the required classes, just do what's available, do what's in front of you, and it'll work. And it's put together, and it's not just because people thought about it, right? Well, it didn't come from somebody's head. It came from the medicine.
Right.
It came from the medicine itself, and Jerry continued to go back to the medicine to refine, and then we have a lot of data on here's what the medicine said. Now let's check it out, and we confirmed through data. Oh yeah, the people that go to these classes, this works. We get a 98% of people, 98 out of every 100 people that come here leave here saying this week changed their lives and they had a life-changing miracle. And that means, to get to 98%, that means we had a lot of 100% weeks. You have to have 100% weeks to get that average up.
Oh yeah.
I believe it. And the classes are science-backed or logical. They make sense. And you can't deny the data.
Yeah.
It's like, it is what it is.
Is there anything, Doris, I'll ask you first, is there anything else that you think you would like to share with anybody about Rythmia? Anything that you want to say about your experience, either about Rythmia, about your experience, about a moment in ceremony, any peak thing that you'd like to share before we go?
Yeah, I like to share about my experience. Like I mentioned, I was the tag along, and I was going to get whatever I could out of it, but not really knowing what I was going to get or asking for it. But on the morning of the fourth day, I was able to focus a little more, thanks to help from Victor and some other people. And I merged. Oh my gosh. And I had a couple of other experiences that I won't share right now, but I felt my heart healed. I felt accepted by me. And that was key. That was really key.
That's all there is, to be accepted by ourselves.
I'm okay. Even though what I did back in the day, I'm here now, I'm present, and I'm so looking forward to the future with a different perspective that's vibrating up here.
And I want to just say, the past is what got you here. There's not one thing wrong. Everything had to happen just the way that it did for us to be here right now. Thank you. Beautiful.
Gracias.
Con mucho gusto.
Gracias.
My brother, Will, what about you? What's either anything else you'd like to say? I'll just leave it up to you.
Yes. So the big thing I found out this week here at Rythmia, John, is that after going through ceremony is have an understanding why I lived the way I lived, and understand like what happened, why I used drugs, why I self-medicated, why I acted out, why I enjoyed putting myself in violent, really scary places. And it's because I was scared my whole life. So if I repeated that, then I was familiar with what the surroundings were. And I learned here this week that I was using my brain all the time to try to keep myself safe, which didn't really work out. I mean, I'm alive and I'm grateful, but I learned here at Rhythmia that it's time to use your heart and put your heart first, and show love and compassion to myself, and then I could share that with those around me. And I'm so grateful that I came here, and the program is put together just amazingly. I'm a military trainer for 40 years, and we could have not designed something that is wonderful and great and productive as this. And you have to come and experience for yourself.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there a time limit?
No.
Okay, so then I'll share an experience I
Okay.
had. So I never met my dad, and I always called him my sperm donor dad. And that, like, I didn't come with intentions here, but during the ceremony, I met my abuelito, my grandfather, and he told me I had to forgive my father. And I was open. This was last night. So and now after 4 minutes, I'm finally opening up. And I tell him, okay, fine, he's forgiven, Dad, I forgive you. And my dad's spirit came to me to ask for forgiveness himself. And wow, something I was not expecting. And that's why I said that when I said I forgive you, it's when I felt a togetherness that made me feel my heart is healing. And like I mentioned, I didn't have any expectations of this, but that is something that's key. Going back to making me feel that I belong, I'm okay. It's deep stuff, and I'm so grateful. Thank you, Jerry.
I'm so proud
Thank
of
you,
you. I'm
Moon.
so proud of you, honey.
Yeah, I don't
I'm
know.
so proud of you.
I'm shy. I'm the shy woman.
It's such a beautiful thing you just shared.
Oh my gosh, it's life changing. Even my mom spoke to me, and she said I'm doing the right thing. And I'm not that close with my mom either, so
Thank you. Thank you.
it's awesome.
Well done. Well done. This is one of the most amazing things about plant medicine is it gives us the ability to like retrieve traumatic memories and or disempowering narratives, disempowering stories, right? And then look at them, examine them, make connections that we wouldn't normally make, and then restore them in an affirmative manner. And what you just told me was I always called my dad, who I never met my dad, I called him my sperm donor dad. And in the medicine, you received a message from your grandfather to forgive your father, and the spirit of your father came.
It's wild.
And in that forgiveness of your father, you found acceptance. Your story about the sperm donor dad was, I don't belong and I'm not wanted.
Yes.
And in your forgiving him, you found belonging and love for yourself.
What a feeling.
And now the story. What's the story about your dad? What do you say? Will you still call him your sperm donor dad?
No.
Yeah.
We spoke. I know it sounds surreal, but that's what it is. That's what it is.
Super powerful.
Spirit world.
Super powerful.
Oh yeah.
So you've restored that memory to something that empowers you. A story of belonging, a story of love. Bam. Will, can I talk? I mean, can I share the story?
Absolutely.
So, we were in class. Here's this military guy and New Yorker, Bronx, got the kind of wise guy accent, not wise guy, but
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn accent. There we go.
How you doing?
And I see this man, really working hard, really interested. And you had said, and at this point, you were like, I haven't merged with my soul. And you said, I said, have you seen who you've become? He said, yeah, I've become a nice, caring, kind person, which is true. And then we did, you were like willing to do an exercise. We did a process in class and took you back to the first memory you had, a memory that had come up to you this week, not a memory that was suppressed. You'd always remembered it, but you made a connection around that memory of being hit by your dad for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And will you tell a little bit about about that story, the insight that you had from seeing that?
Yes, so I acted out as a kid. I drove a car with my cousins in it backwards, and my dad had to jump in the car, stop the car, and he took me out, and then he hit me with this plastic bat. And so when I noticed that I got his attention, how negative it was, and I was like, how could this guy who says he loves me, hit me? And I just got so confused about everything that was happening. That I had to make up a story that I was a bad kid. And that kind of theme played out through my whole life. And I also put a picture, or I also said that my dad was giving me a message that I was, not worthy and I never did anything right. And so I formulated all this information in my head, and then I went about trying to live a life. And the result was that I continued to act out. And then as I got older, I tried to self-medicate and try to be the person that everybody looked at or gave attention to, how negatively. And it just got worse and worse. And, terrible drug use, violent situations. And before I became the loving, caring man that I knew I had inside of me, I had to accept that that's who I had become in that life I was living prior to arriving here at Rythmia. And that was an awakening, because now I had an understanding. And the medicine is what guided me through this.
What was so fascinating to me was this, like, it's the story we tell ourselves, right? And the story, like, I'm bad. I'm in trouble and I'm bad. I'm a bad person. I'm a bad kid. And just it's like what a 3-year-old, 5-year-old, 6-year-old, 8-year-old says. And that becomes our personal legend,
Right.
It becomes our personal story. And it's unconscious. And you were able to go back and give yourself what you needed. And that little kid told you, when you connected with him, he said, I'm all right. Like, I didn't need to be beat. I just needed to be told that I actually love you so much. I was worried about what could happen to you.
Right.
And that whole story, like, became another traumatic memory retrieval and restorage. And
Right.
you were able to give yourself what you needed.
Right. With your help, I'm grateful for your help and your guidance. You're a very gentle man, and you're very loving and caring, and you provided that safe place for me to do that. I mean, it's a big credit to Rythmia and yourself, John, because if it's not safe, you don't want to get into it. You don't want to talk about it because you're the bad kid, and you don't want to replay a scenario again. So thank you. I'm grateful.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I'm grateful too. It's always such an honor, because to witness, it inspires me to do this. I have lots of work to do, lots of places that are lots of blind spots still. We all have those blind spots. And so you inspire me. And the way you both went around about this week is inspiring. And thank you.
Thank you.
It's been an honor. Con mucho gusto.
Mucho gusto. And thank you, Doris.
Thank you, Will.
Yeah. You guys are awesome. What a great couple.
But my tag along. No.
+1.
My +1. That's right.
Oh, I just love you guys. So great. All right. So this is our edition of not walking the path, of I Got My Miracle this week with these two amazing people. Wait, there was a comment. Let's see. Oh, Tiffany says, thank you for sharing your story.
You're welcome.
Thank
Tiffany.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Tiffany.
All right, y'all. Thank you so much. Peace and blessings.
Bye now. Namaste.
Namaste.